So now that the alignment fixture is removed, we can remove this, and as you can see, it goes right back into place without any effort at all. I'm going to start with the stirrup, putting the stirrup on the shoe. As you can see, I hope you can see this, there's a gap in here between this. So we want to make a contour across here in this direction to not only meet this, but to be about 5 millimeters more than this, so that when it's riveted on, it strengthens the shank, like so. Okay, so what we've done is to bisect the shoe. We've determined the point at the back of the heel where the heel of the foot is going to sit, and we've measured anteriorly half the distance. Let me rephrase that. An average of the distance between the distance anterior, posterior, the placement of the medial malleolus and the lateral malleolus. And so that gives us this point. I've made a bit of a hole with the awl, and we have the stirrup now. And if you remember, we put a hole here in the midpoint of the stirrup. This gets put together with a little wood screw, like so. And it goes into that point, and it gives us then a pivot point that we can place the stirrup exactly where we want it. Get that just a little bit tighter. So here we've made the schema for placement of the shoe on the stirrup. We have a line that is the distance between the measurement to the medial malleolus and the lateral malleolus. We have a 90-degree perpendicular mark, and then an angular mark that corresponds to the toe in or toe out measure. And this was 2 degrees of toe out measured medially. So this is lateral and medial for a right shoe. So all we do is to place the stirrup here where the 2 anterior aspects of the stirrup are touching the 2 parallel lines that we've drawn, and then we rotate the shoe till the medial border of the shoe matches. And remember, it's the medial border of the shoe, not the heel. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Matches that 2-degree toe out angle. Make sure everything is in place, and you can see that. Okay. So now, holding everything still and not moving, turn this over. And mark this so we know where our stirrup's going to go. Now we can think about putting rivets in. One of the reasons we use a wide-tongue stirrup is that it spans the metal shank that's in here, and rather than weakening the shank, it actually strengthens it. This particular one has got a square posterior, so we're going to make 4 holes for rivets, and we want them to be about a centimeter inside of our angulation here. Let's see, in this instance it's going to be about a half. It's not marking very well on this stainless steel. Darken it with the pencil, and I'm going to just eyeball the 2 here. because it's fairly easy to do. Now back to our principle about countersinking. If we countersink, or we countersink whenever the rivet is the same density or softer than the material being riveted. So this is stainless steel, and we're going to put in copper rivets. So it has to be countersunk. So we're going to drill. What we've done here is put the stirrup on the shoe where we marked it, marked 4 rivet holes, and drilled the shoe and put the rivets in. These are number 8 copper belt rivets. Notice this has been drilled and countersunk. Okay, now this is riveted in place. You can see it follows the shape of the shoe nicely. Now we're ready to put the heel on. First thing that we do is put the heel in place back on the shoe. Take a pencil and mark the edges like so, so that we can take another stirrup, place it on here, and mark out where to cut. So you see, mark the 2 edges, and we have the outline of what we need to cut. So we can look at this and we can see the depth that we need to cut. It's about the thickness of the stirrup, and that needs to go from the midpoint here. So that can tell us that we need to take off about this much.
They had an AFO like this.
Were you there when Wendy showed me how to do it? She showed me pretty much the exact same thing.
You can use sandpaper, you can use, there's actually a specific tool for doing this that has little wire pieces that come out.
Was it like a mushroom?
Just rough up leather with.
Wide as that. So if you take one of the caps with you and find a tool bit that's the same size as that.
This you can't rough. Also, we've got to drill a couple of holes in here. So what I'm doing here is there nail holes that go in to help hold the heel on. You can't put a nail through this, so you got to drill a hole to get the nail through.
Because I already checked the plastic.
We're going to start the gluing operations now, the first of them. The 2 things that we're going to glue are the padding on the back of the calf band and the covering for the calf band. The covering for the calf band is made of a real thin leather called kip. This particular one is natural colored. You can get it in a lot of different colors. You can see on this surface where I've taken an awl and roughed the surface so that the glue sticks better. There are a number of ways you can do this. You can use coarse sandpaper, sand cone. There's even a particular roughening tool that is made that you can use for this. So I'm going to take these 2 pieces and I'm going to put glue on them. Actually 3 pieces. But what I'm going to do next may seem a little strange. Glue on here. Glue on here. And leave a little tab here to hold on to. It doesn't have glue on it. You don't have to do that, but it's handy if your leather's a shape that you can. This particular glue, I think, is Renia. It says Master on it, but it doesn't look like Master Cement. Master Cement is typically yellow. They're both very good. So, getting the glue on this. I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes before the next step, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to put the glue on the felt. Okay, so that's done. Now this piece that we put the glue on before, I'm waiting till it's fairly dry on the top. And now I'm going to take it over and get it sopping wet. Anytime you're stretching leather, it's much easier to stretch if it's wet. And if it's going to be glued, it's very important that you put the glue on first before you wet it. The reason for this is that glue soaks down into the surface and the crevices of the leather. If you wet it first, the water fills up those areas and you only get a superficial covering of glue, and consequently you don't get as strong a bond. Once this is wet, it goes into a plastic bag where we leave it for a few minutes to overnight. This process is called mulling, M-U-L-L-I-N-G.